I don't like to say this out loud, but I can say it on camera. They weren't hearing me. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lexi, for those of you who don't know. Also the Divabetic on Instagram. I will comment or link my account below. I'm also on Twitter, but I'm never really on Twitter, so don't even worry about that. Anyway, I'm a type 1 diabetic. I've been diabetic for 15 years and 1 month now, and I also was recently diagnosed with PCOS. So today I'm just going to be sharing a quick version of my PCOS story because I feel like it is not talked about enough and too many women don't know about it until the last minute, like me. So I was diagnosed with PCOS in 2020. I had just turned 25, and my periods for the past like 2-3 years had been very irregular. Actually, for probably longer than that. They've been very irregular. I would have one period every other month, and some months I would have 2 periods. It was just really strange. Towards the end of 2019, I noticed like my skin was just becoming very oily. I was having to shave a lot more often because my hair was growing a lot quicker. Not on my head either. But my hair was growing a lot quicker. I was having to shave a lot more, and in the beginning of 2020, my skin was breaking out all the time. Like you would think that I was in puberty again. That's how bad I was breaking out, and I'll show a picture here. But my skin was horrible, you guys. And I mean, I never just had perfectly clear skin, but I never had that type of acne all over my face. I had deep cystic acne, a lot of it. I had little bitty pimples. It was just a lot, and it was not the norm for me. So I knew something was wrong, and I would also cramp all throughout the month. Even when I wasn't on my cycle, I would cramp so bad. And I noticed that my cramps were getting like very excruciating, like 3 weeks before my period or right after I finished a period. I would be having these horrible cramps, and so I knew something was wrong. 2018, or maybe the end of 2017, was the first time that I brought up to my OB-GYN that my periods were not normal. And he pretty much told me that many women deal with that. The best way to fix that is by putting me on birth control. I've never been on birth control. I did not want to get on birth control. I don't like to say this out loud, but I can say it on camera because nobody's here, even though y'all are gonna watch this later, I don't care. But like, I've always been very scared of birth control. I've just heard really like terrifying stories, not even just with the IVF, or is it IVF or, no, IVF is in vitro. The thing they put inside of you, not even that one. I'm just talking about the pills. Like, I didn't want to do anything or take anything that would possibly affect my body as far as babies go, because one of the biggest things that I have always said ever since I was a kid was that I wanted to have a family, I wanted to have children, and I was just scared. So I never wanted to get on birth control. I expressed that to him. He pretty much told me, well, you know, whenever your periods get too irregular or, you know, whatever, then we'll put you on birth control. So I said, okay. So, you know, I was still having a lot of symptoms, and I went and saw another OB-GYN. She pretty much told me the same thing, birth control. And I didn't want to get on birth control. And then a year later, or a few months later, I went to see, was it the same OB-GYN? It may have been the same OB-GYN. And I expressed to that one that I did not want to get on birth control because my husband and I we wanted to conceive. And it was just like crickets. Like, they weren't hearing what I was saying with all of my other symptoms. Like, they weren't really trying to hear me out. So fast forward to 2020, my husband had joined the military in December of 2019. And so we moved to Georgia, and I had a new OB-GYN, and I did all my research prior to going to see this doctor because I was tired of being ignored, and I diagnosed myself with PCOS just based on, you know, what I was seeing online. And the biggest thing that clicked for me was insulin resistance is directly related to PCOS. Not in all instances, but in some instances. So I mean, I had been told before by an endocrinologist, I don't know, maybe my sophomore year of college, that I was showing signs of insulin resistance, or I was developing insulin resistance, but I didn't know, like nobody ever told me the bigger picture, you know? So I'm like, okay, I'm developing insulin resistance, whatever, I take care of myself, my A1C isn't high, it's not crazy, so I'm fine. I didn't know that bad things could happen with insulin resistance. So anyway, sorry, back to my OB-GYN here in Georgia. I diagnosed myself with PCOS. I went in, saw her, I told her all my symptoms, and I told her that I think that I have PCOS and I would like to be tested for it. So before she tested me for it, I think I got a ultrasound or a sonogram, I don't remember which is which, but they basically looked at my insides to make sure that there were A, no cysts, and B, nothing that looked like it could be cancerous or, you know, anything like that. I also, oh my gosh, had a horrible experience, and I recorded that experience, and I'll post that video, and whenever I post it, I'll leave the link below. But I had to have my uterus dilated, and she took, you know, I don't even know what it's called, what the procedure was called, but that was the most painful thing in the world, y'all. Like, oh my gosh. Anyway, okay, sorry. So back on topic. So anyway, she tested me for a couple of other things, and then finally, you know, she pretty much came back and she did a blood test, I think. She came back and said, okay, yeah, you have PCOS. I would like to start you on metformin. We discussed, you know, how my husband and I would like to have children anytime now. Like, we've been trying for a while. Like, I mean, really trying. So, you know, we talked about our little plan, and I walked out of there and I felt like, yes, I finally have been heard. Even though, you know, nobody likes to be diagnosed with things, especially something that can affect your fertility possibly, which I rebuke that in Jesus' name. It's not going to permanently affect my fertility. But I just felt relieved because I had finally been heard. And it's like, I'm not crazy. These other doctors, people have been blowing me off, making me feel like I was crazy. And, you know, they were just trying to put a band-aid on the actual problem. And I'm not a band-aid person at all. I want to find the root of the problem so we can pull that thing out and plant something better in there. And so anyway, I got prescribed metformin. I am a type 1 diabetic. Metformin is typically prescribed to type 2 diabetics to help them manage their insulin, help them increase their insulin sensitivity, which is also the same thing as lowering insulin resistance. And it's also aids in weight loss, which I wasn't trying to lose weight, but that's just kind of a side effect of it. So I got really scared. I talked to my mom, and you know, my mom or my grandmother, somebody had taken metformin before, and like I had just seen some things online. I was like, dang, I don't want to take this just yet. So y'all don't get on me, because I know you're supposed to listen to your doctor, but I decided I wanted to try to go the natural route. And the crazy thing is, I had just got a book in the mail called Mastering Diabetes. The author, who was also, I believe he's a doctor, his name is Robbie, can't pronounce his last name. I don't want to try to do that on camera, but I'll link that below as well. Anyway, that book basically said, hey, you know, you cut out meat, you cut out dairy, a lot of these things will, you know, start to either A, reverse, or B, get better. And I mean, it's like from diabetes all the way to PCOS, all the way to like some crazy serious like illnesses. And obviously as a type 1 diabetic, I'm never gonna be able to stop taking insulin until they come up with a cure. But I can lower the amount of insulin that I'm taking, which I have done by starting this. And I will post a separate video because this is already too freaking long. But yeah, I'll post a separate video to let you guys know everything that cutting out meat, and I haven't cut out dairy yet. I love cheese, but I have limited dairy, and I'm working on cutting it out. I don't know if I ever really do that. But there's just so many benefits. So anyway, so that's the route that I'm taking right now to manage my PCOS. Things that I have noticed. My skin is clearing up. I also started Curology, so I think that may also have to do with my skin clearing up. But my skin is clearing up. It's not as oily. I don't cramp all throughout the month anymore. I have noticed a few weird, like random cramps when I'm not on my period, but nothing compared to what they were. I've had a period every single month since starting this way of eating. And what else? I don't think I'm as moody. And I've also decreased the amount of insulin that I'm taking, which means that my insulin sensitivity is increasing, which means that if my PCOS was triggered by insulin resistance, then in a way it's kind of reversing, I'm assuming. Now, I don't know if PCOS can ever completely be reversed. I'm not a doctor. I'm a very analytical, theoretical person, so I like to try things out and see what happens. Hopefully this just, if anybody out there has ever dealt with something like this or is dealing with PCOS, just know you are not alone. Be an advocate for your own health and your body. You know when something is wrong. Like, I knew for a little over 2 years something was wrong, and you know, I waited. I should have went and seen another doctor earlier, but the fact is I finally went and saw somebody else, and we are working on reversing all that, and I'm praying to Jesus that we will bring some beautiful little babies into this world very, very soon. So hopefully my story will help somebody. I know how it is. I just know, obviously. I know it comes along with it, and the struggle and the frustration. We have had so many false hopes, you know, with my missed periods, thinking that I was pregnant and I would take a test and I wasn't. Like, that is hard, especially when you really want it and you're really trying. So hopefully this wasn't too heavy to lay on you guys, but I just wanted to open up a little bit, share some of my story, and hopefully some of you guys can connect with it. And be sure to subscribe to my channel. I talk about all kinds of stuff, my life diagnoses or diagnoses, however you say that. Y'all, I feel like I've been diagnosed with, I'm not gonna say everything. I'm diagnosed with something new at least once every year. So, you know, if y'all want to hear about medical stuff, definitely subscribe. I like to talk about finance, DIYs, working out, dupes, all the stuff. I talk about all the stuff. So subscribe, like, share, comment. Thank you guys so much, and I hope to see you next time.